Hello and welcome back to the Blue Tinted Glasses YouTube channel. It is episode 3 of the Foxes Den, not only on Blue Tinted Glasses, but also over on for Fox Sake TV. So you might be watching over there. I've got 3 great guests with me again, as always. Josh is back, so I'll start with him. How you doing, Josh, mate? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm good. Back at uni. Obviously, if you've watched me, different background, but yeah, good to be back talking about Leicester.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Ash, join us nice and just on time, actually, not late, just on time. How you doing, fella?
Yeah, all good, all good. It was a close shave, that one was, mate. Sorry about that. Busy day.
Oh, yeah, it's all right, mate. Don't worry. Turn up at bloody, with 2 minutes to go if you want, mate. It's completely up to you. Anil, obviously, we see each other, or we speak to each other regularly, but how you doing, fella?
I'm good. It was 24 degrees earlier today. I'm loving that. I'll have some of these late summers, the more the merrier. So yeah, I really enjoyed it today. It makes a big difference. I remember last time we were on, it was like, I don't know, 8 degrees or something ridiculous. But yeah, I'm happy because of that.
Absolutely, mate. I've had a nightmare week, by the way. I'm going to Turkey on holiday on Sunday, next Sunday, the 29th of September. And I realized yesterday I've lost my passport. So yeah, I have to get up at 6 a.m. tomorrow, drive down to Peterborough to the passport office and get a new passport. But even then, it's a week delivery, so who knows if I'm going abroad. If I'm not going, it's just more content, I suppose, on the channel. So there we go. Before we get into the show, I just want to bring up a few comments. Danny is here. Hi to you, Danny, mate. Thanks for joining. The Silver Fox, evening to you. Dawn and Arthur, 2 members of the channel. So if you do want to become a member of the channel, there is a join button under video. Click that and you can become a member. Dawn has tried to put a Vardy emoji. It won't show on StreamYard, unfortunately, but if you go into the live chat, you will see that. And finally, then Nathan as well. Evening, everyone. Loving your content. Always thought you should have your own channel. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. No more Leicester Fan TV these days. Right, let's get into today's stream, today's episode, and we're going to look ahead to Everton. But before we do that, I think we should at least mention the weekend's game because I haven't spoken to Ash or Josh about it. Ash, what was your, how did you feel after the game at full time? Because I think we all would have taken a point, but most of us would have taken a point, but it kind of felt like a defeat in the end, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was gutted, Locks. I mean, I was expecting a bit of corruption coming our way, but that just took the biscuit, didn't it? The angle was nearly on the opposition's corner flag that they showed on the VAR, wasn't it? It was honking. Yeah, it did feel like a loss because we were in cruise control. We were dominant. I don't think Palace looked very good at all, to be honest. And, we went out there and played our hearts out. And that's all we can ask at this stage of the season. I think there's points to be won in this season for us. We look good. We look compact. And I think we can... we can push on now and get some wins on the board, especially against Everton.
Yeah, well, Josh, obviously, Ash said there that we look good. I've continued my Cooper agenda even after the weekend's point, I suppose. But my Cooper agenda has me saying things like, that loss of points, that dropping of 2 points was on Cooper for how he switched us up in the second half, trying to defend the lead. What do you think to it? Because I haven't heard your opinion on it yet. So what do you think?
I think the substitutions cost us. I think I might be joining you on your Cooper agenda train soon if things carry on. But it's frustrating though, isn't it? Because, the second half, obviously, we scored so quick, they bagged a goal. And after that, we looked quite, we weren't dominating the game, but we were controlling things. It didn't look like Palace were going to cause any major problems to us. Then the subs came and, it kind of fell apart. So, yeah, I've got to really agree with you on that point in terms of the subs. Because, yeah, again, in my opinion, that's probably what cost us the game.
Anil, obviously, again, we've spoken about it, but just to touch on it briefly with you, my whole thing was Cody cost us the win, but Cooper set us up to fail in the second half. What do you think?
Coward Cooper, that's what I called my video. I got a lot of flack for that one. I'm not going to lie. A lot of people saying that was a sensationalist headline. But I think it's true at the end of the day. Like, if you look at it, you could say that we were unlucky, but if you look at the momentum chart, it was all Palace. And so you're just praying not to get caught. As I've said, I think the biggest mistake he was not only being defensive, but basically he changed the shape to go 5-3-2. So their wingers had like free reign to push right upfield. And so it was just wave after wave of Palace pressure. And even worse, even worse, it meant that we never had a chance of scoring ourselves, which is the biggest crime, if you ask me. Like, you can try and see out a 2-1 win, but what you want is someone who's always there to run in behind so you could score. But having a gassed Vardy and a Fatawi that looks completely lost because he's not playing on the wing ain't the way to achieve that. So, look, I mean, I'm sure Wolfie said the same thing to you, but I mean, you know, Cooper only won 2 away games with Forest, right? And like, he's basically, what I feel is he's achieved draws from the clutches of victory, if that makes sense. So that's a bit frustrating, but hopefully he learns, because what I will say is, even though it's a bit negative to say that, for the first 65 minutes, I think we actually look pretty good. So can we just stretch that out for 90, please? But we'll get onto the game that we'll come into. But I am just a bit concerned that is he just going to try and like scam a 1-0 rather than try and finish off the game, and it ends up with like a 1-1 draw, because Cooper doesn't really strike me as one of those that wants to like end the game. We will see.
Yeah. Well, that's our thoughts, everybody, on the Palace game. There's plenty of content on for Fox's sake. Obviously, Blue Tinted Glass. And Josh, you've done a review, have you, of the Palace game yet? Or have you not had time?
Just did a vlog. I was a bit annoyed after that one.
A vlog. There we go. So there's plenty of content on all the channels. So after this one, you can go and hear more on what we thought about the Palace game. But let's look forward. Ash. There was a big debate last week. There has been all season, really, about the midfield situation. I think we need to be fair and give credit where credit's due. It did seem to work against Palace. Yep. What do you want to see this weekend against Everton? Do you think... I mean, I think he'll stick with it, personally. I think he will stick with that midfield trio. But is that what you want to see, or do you want to see something else?
If I'm being honest, I know last week we was on here and I was mentioning about Buonanotte and them giving the Moroccan lad a chance, but I feel like it is starting to gel, Locks. I think they played very well. I do think they played very well. I think Saturday is a huge game, and that's when we are going to find out sort of whether Cooper's tactics and his lineups are working. Because if we can't beat this Everton team that literally can't win anywhere, then there's something seriously wrong. Yeah, I'd still like to see a more attacking midfield personally. But I suppose all we can go off at the minute is performances. And I'll take how we played at Palace. We're fine in the back of the net. We've just got to stamp out those mistakes, haven't we? Probably the defensive substitutions when we're in cruise control, we've got to stop that. You know, Chowdhury. As soon as I seen Chowdhury getting his tracksuit off, I thought, here we go. And then they bring Cody on, and like, it's the same old, isn't it? You know that you're trying to protect a lead, and it never works with Leicester City. We've got to go for it, I think. And I think that's why we brought all these attacking players in if we're not going to use them.
Yeah, I agree. Brookline G says free Ricardo. Dawn and whoever's a member, there is a free Ricardo emoji, so get them put in the chat. And Nil, coming to you, mate. I agree with what Ash has said there, but I saw a comment and I saw that you kind of acknowledged it and agreed with it. Ray Tellerico from America said, Saturday will tell you all you want to know about Super Duper Cooper. He's right, isn't he? Because, I mean, we have a match this weekend against the worst side so far. The team that has had the worst start to the season so far. They're bottom of the league. Am I right? I'm pretty sure they're bottom of the league. They've got the lowest or the most goals conceded. They've scored a few, to be fair to them, but they've not been able to hold their leads, and they've ended up losing the games. They lost last night again, the third game in a row where they went ahead and lost. I spoke with an Everton fan earlier today. He seemed like he wanted to jump out his window head first, if I'm honest. So this is like Cooper's biggest game, isn't it? Because it is a game that we all look at and say, no, this one you have to win. You have to win it.
Well, 100% he has to win it. If he doesn't, there's going to be serious questions asked, because, you know, now that we've got the points deduction removed, everyone's thinking we should be able to stay up, especially with our squad. But reason why I was agreeing so much with Ray, and you're going to find a lot about Cooper, is in many ways. I think many people will interpret that as being, is he an attacking or a defensive manager? That's certainly one aspect of it. But actually, it's because of the way that Everton play. So the way that Cooper set us up so far this season, I think is actually quite smart in a lot of ways. That he's turned us into a team that plays on transition rather than dominating possession, which was always going to be the way, because in the Premier League, you're going to become against superior players. They're going to have a lot more of the ball. So you've got to make the most of the moment. So tough tackling, win the ball back. And as soon as you get the ball, how quickly can you get it forward and get a goal? And if you look at, for example, the goal that Vardy scores, indeed he wins it. He spins Adam Wharton, who's a top quality player in the England squad. First time ball, doesn't even look. He knows where to play the ball. Vardy's peeling off right, rounds the keeper. It's 1-0. So you've got to give some credit where it's due. That's a really good game plan. The problem is that we're playing Everton. And if you look at Everton's possession statistics, like I think yesterday, Taylor Harwood-Bellis had almost as many passes himself as the entire Everton team put together. Right? They don't necessarily just sit back in a deep block, but they are not going to chase the game so much, right? They're trying to be like an immovable object. So what my fear is that he's going to look at the last game and think, oh, we really played well in that one, didn't we, lads? We're a bit unlucky. And he starts with all these players that are good at tackling and winning the ball back, but it's not suitable for the opposition that we're playing against. So, for example, if we had Enzo in charge, I think Enzo would make mincemeat out of Everton. And the reason why is he would look at their structure, he'd analyze it, and he'd be like, okay, for this type of game, I've got to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to win the game. And will Cooper do that? So you also asked earlier, like, should Ndidi start? Ndidi, for me, was the easy man of the match out of any of the players on the field. It was absolutely superb last week. But the thing is that suited the game where he needed to get about, win the ball back, win the aerial duels, dominate the ground, and get us playing that way. If we're expecting Everton to largely sit deep, which I think that they will, then it becomes, how can we unlock the closed door? And in order to do that, you need your creative players. And Wolf is a good player, but is he good at playing between tight spaces? Is he good at playing in 1-2s? I've watched a lot of Everton games. I'm going to do my match sort of preview before the game comes out. But where do they struggle? They've got an aging back line. They've got fairly slow players. And what they struggle with is if you can move the ball quickly, left to right, in between the channels and the half spaces. So if it was me, that's where you need your players like Buonanotte, El Canous, maybe even Vestergaard comes back into the team, although you might get caught out on the break. So that's a bit controversial. So Ray's point was, we're going to find out what the real Cooper is. So if he approaches the game and our mindset is that we know they're going to be a tough cookie, but we're going to look to pass through the gaps and cause chaos, then it will be good. If he starts with the same sort of attritional team and it means that like it's just like a physical battle and we're not getting the best of it, and it's a rather defensive display, then we'll also know that maybe we've got some question marks to answer. I mean, that said, you could still win the game just by winning the physical duel. But I think, you know, you look at Everton's position in the league table and you think, okay, this will be an easy game. But I think that's not really that accurate, because the thing is normally when a team's bottom, they're like struggling with everything. Right, they're conceding a lot of goals. Everton are, but they're also not scoring many. But Everton are actually scoring goals. Right, they've actually scored 2 goals in their last few games, and they can cause a threat. So I don't think it's as straightforward as people think it is. And I think a lot of people might think, oh, this will be an easy game. It could be an easy game if we set up the right way. But if we play it the wrong style, and we play to a style that's going to suit them, and unfortunately, I think the way that we lined up against Palace would suit Everton. So I've thrown a lot of words at you there, but we'll see. It could be either we set up the right way and we actually smash them and it could be 4-0, or we set up the wrong way, it starts going wrong, and then he starts realizing, oh, whoops, I've got to start putting these players on. And everyone will be like, why didn't you do that from the start? Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, Josh, I think a few of us questioned in the Villa game and the Palace game that, well, I think we just said, where the hell is Buonanotte? I mean, I know he came on late in the Villa game. So did El Canous in that one when we needed a goal. Obviously in the Palace game, it kind of we probably would have wanted Buonanotte to come on as fans, but we didn't. We got Hamza Chowdhury and Connor Cody. The rumor has it, again, you know, I think it has since been confirmed by Owen, actually, Palmer Atkin, that he did have a knock of some kind on his groin. If he is fit this weekend, what are you saying? Does he start? Or do you think Cooper should go with the trusted Wilfred Ndidi, if you like?
It's tough, isn't it? I agree with what Neil said completely in terms of how Leicester should play and set up against Everton. But yeah, I think Buonanotte, for me, I'm a massive fan of him. I think, you know, if he starts, he's going to be that player to come in and break the lines. I'd argue Bilal Canous could also do that as well, because he hasn't got as much time with the squad. But isn't Diddy going to be that man on the edge of the box to make that? It's going to be a matter of the final ball, I think, on Saturday if Everton are going to sit deep, and that's the difference in them type of games. So far Leicester have been a transition team, and it has worked. To be fair, we have scored some good goals, and Diddy's got 3 assists, which I don't think any of us would have thought of a few years ago. But yeah, for me, I think Buonanotte does start. Doesn't Diddy go a bit deeper? I don't know. I think Winks and Skip have been fairly good so far for Leicester. I think it provides a good foundation. Obviously, defensively we need to be a bit tighter, but I think so far, I think we've been all right this season. That's the thing. And this game, if we can get 3 points, we've got a good run coming up. It could give us some good confidence, and you never know, we could pick up some good results in the next few weeks. But yeah, for me, I think Buonanotte does start. I think it's tough on Ndidi, but you just got to be adaptable in terms of the opposition, in my opinion.
Yeah. Ash.
Yep.
Right. Let me ask you this question. I think this question would have been obviously a hell of a lot easier to answer if he hadn't have scored last weekend. But last Wednesday before the Palace game, when I was speaking, I thought Edouard has a decent chance on starting for this Leicester City team. He couldn't obviously against Palace because that's his parent club that he's on loan from. Am I stupid for even asking the question now? I mean, does Vardy 100% undoubtedly start because he scored? And obviously, we know what Vardy can do. Or do you think there's a chance that we see Odsonne Edouard as the number 9 on Saturday?
I think we'll see him as the number 9 at some stage, but not starting. I think we touched on this last week. I think after sort of 65 minutes, when Vardy's starting to slow up a little bit, we'll probably see Edouard introduced into the game. To be honest with you, Locks, when Vardy's still running around Gay, who was meant to be going for nearly like £90 million, then you got to be starting him, ain't you? He's still got a lot. He's still got a lot to offer, and he's finding the net in the Premier League. So I think it'd be a mistake to take him out just now.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to have the discussion, but like I said, after he scored, I don't think we can. But Josh, have you got anything to add to that? Do you think there is a chance he starts, or do you think he's destined to be off the bench this weekend?
Off the bench, I think you can't drop Vardy after scoring like that. I thought Vardy was really good on Saturday in terms of his pressing as well. He was like the only one trying to do stuff at times. So yeah, you can't drop him. But just like we're saying, we can't have Vardy playing the entire game. We've got Edouard on the bench. We've got him for a season. Let's try and use him. So yeah, especially if we're sitting deep, you offer something a bit different in terms of the area's physicality as well. So that could be an option. But yeah, Vardy has to start.
Anil, is it Vardy?
It is Vardy, because even if we had Daka available, of all the 3 strikers we've got, Vardy's got the best first touch. If we're going to be playing in between tight spaces, you want someone who's got good movement, good first touch, and is a clinical finish when he gets all of that. Edouard is a decent player, but I know Palace fans will tell you that he's got a bit of an Iheanacho first touch sometimes, if you remember that, where we'd clunk it when it'd be an easy way to control it. Good finisher, but it's different things. So I think it suits him to come on later. Like I said, we're going to unlock the tight door. I think he's better to start with. And as I say, they've got kind of slow defenders. They're playing Michael. Well, they did say that Branthwaite might be back. That would make a big difference. But despite that, like yesterday, they had Ashley Young playing. And Young is the most ironic surname for him, isn't he, given how old he is these days? Mikhailenko, you can really get, but I just don't think they'll be able to handle Vardy's movement. So he must be licking his lips to see that back four. So I would start him for that reason alone.
The only other personnel kind of thing I want to talk about is the right wing position. So we saw Fatu drop to the bench in the last game. I believe it's because obviously he opted for Mavididi on the left. I think it was fan pressure, by the way. I think it actually was fan pressure. And just before we talk about Fatawi, do you think it was fan pressure?
I do. I also think that his performances couldn't be ignored, could they, Mavididi? I still don't know why he hasn't had the guts to try both of them at the same time, which is a bit bizarre to me.
That's what I was going to get onto. So, in the early games, in the first couple of games, we saw Bobby deckled over Reed or someone like that, or Ayo, I think, in one of the games on the left, and then Fatawi on the right. Fatawi hasn't had a great start to the season. We can all admit that. I know he's a fan favorite and all that, but we can all agree that he's struggled slightly. I think he's still been good. I'm not saying he's been terrible, but he's had his moments. But I just don't think he's hit the ground running as of yet. So to balance it out, he's obviously opted for Mavididi, and then he went for a defensive forward on the right hand side in Jordan Ayew. Obviously, you kind of alluded to it, Anil. Ash, do you want to see Fatawu and Mavididi as the wingers? Because I was speaking to a Palace fan last week, and he was like, "Oh, I think you've got like top 10 wingers in terms of taking into account both wingers that are available to you. I think I think you are top 10 in that position. So, do you want to see us just go at it? Play both of them, just try and cause as much trouble as possible, or would you rather us stick with a more balanced approach?"
Again, I'm sort of caught between a rock and a hard place because I don't think the performances have been bad. I think we're playing very well, and we looked like we were starting to knock some nice football around against Palace. But at the same time, what could it be if you did sort of go gung ho and have a pop at it? And we all know when Mavididi and Fatawu play that we do look quite dangerous on the wings and getting the balls in. So yeah, again. I think, why not? Let's have a pop at Everton because they're fragile, aren't they, at the minute? So, yeah.
Yeah, Josh, what are you saying on this one, mate? You want to see them both together, or what are you thinking?
100%. Them two last season were cooking consistently. So Everton they got no confidence. So you need to run at them. You got people like Fatawu. Yes, just like you said, has been a bit inconsistent this season, but he can pop it with the goal. He's got that. He's got that cross it into the box towards Vardy. Steffi obviously is going to be full of confidence. He's been alright in the games he's played. So why not? And if it's not working, if them two can do well, get us the 2-0 lead. Then maybe Cooper can bring in his more, defensive strikers, like wingers like Ayew, etc. But I just want us to go for it on Saturday. We've shown signs so far this season. I'm not saying completely go stupid and get everyone up and leave no one back, but just go for it. We've got two fantastic wingers who helped us get into this position. At least give both of them, a good chance of, playing in the Premier League. I know he's going to play Ayew and Bobby Decordova-Reid for the defensive reasons and experience and whatnot. But yeah, just do it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Right, going right because there is something else unrelated to the game I want to discuss before we end. So I'll get into the score predictions now. Ash, score predictions for the Everton game, mate.
I'm going to go sort of pretty comfortable. I'm thinking 3-1. I am honestly.
3-1.
I just haven't seen too much from this Everton team this season, and even when they've been in games, lost the leads. How many times can you be deflated last kick of the game almost until you start giving up? But yeah, I think 3-1 Leicester.
Nice one. Josh, over to you, mate.
We'll go 3-2. Everton will do it again.
Well, that's what Joe Blackburn says here. He says, lads, it's Everton. You'll go to... I was going to say, Anil, we want Everton to score first. I think from how that'll be 4 in a row. But no, what's your score prediction, Anil?
I'll go 1-0 Leicester. I just think Cooper isn't the sort of one who'll try to finish in. It might be a bit tense. That said, though, if Everton lose this game, it might well be the end of Dyche, and so you never know. He might do a Brendan and just actually just chuck the game, do something stupid like Branthwaite's available, but still start Michael Keane or something like that, and just get the payout because he's fed up with them. Because he really does look fed up. I don't know if you've noticed that. There's no love lost there. And I think he just wants out. And I think even if he was to get sacked, he's still done an amazing job for them. And if the circus that it is behind the game, what else can he do? He might well be thinking. So that wouldn't surprise me, therefore, if we absolutely battered them, just to be the absolute, okay, he's gone the next day kind of thing. But I just think it's Cooper. I think that he would settle for 1-0. I mean, to be honest with you, I would probably too. A win's a win at the end of the day. I wouldn't even be surprised if we go 1-0 up after 20 minutes and then don't go for the second. That's actually how I see it. But I do think we'll win the game.
Well, I'm Leicester's most negative fan at the moment, I've been told, and I want the team to lose, I've been told, and I want Ndidi to break his leg, I've also been told. These are all things I've been told over the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, I'm not going for a win, lads, and I'm not even doing that on purpose. I'm going to say 1-1. I mean, again, it's just yeah, exactly, Anil. I've just seen Anil's comment there. Negative lock strikes again. 100%, yeah, I actually think you alluded to it. I think we'll go 1-0 up, and I think we'll concede. I think we'll try and defend a 1-0 lead. That's how I see it happening. And then yeah, God knows, mate, because there's already a lot of negativity. And I did a stream the other day with Ric Flair from Big Strong Leicester Boys, and I tried to we tried to actually get some positives. Of course, we bashed Steve Cooper. Of course, we did. But we did try and pull out some positives, and we did give credit where credit's due. But I just think if he starts pulling out things like he did against Palace, in the later stages of games when you're winning, I do fear that it will happen time and time again. So 1-1, there's a point. Yeah, goodness me, Locke's optimism never crosses you. It did. I'll tell you what, I said we were going to break the points. I said we were going to break the points record last season in the Championship. So that was as optimistic as you get from me. But yeah, I'll get some score predictions up quickly. So bringing them back up, Danny says 3-1 Leicester. Obviously, Joe Blackburn said this. You'll go 2 down and then score 3. LCFC_fan 15, 2-1 for me. Ray says 2-0 Foxes, a clean sheet. That would be nice. Dawn says 3-2 to Leicester. LCFC_DP says 3-1 Leicester. Ayew Buonanotte and Vardy scoring. Yeah, very funny, Joe Blackburn. Joe Blackburn's the pantomime villain in this chat. 2-2 for me for Silver Fox. And there we go. So so that's it for the Everton preview. I want to quickly talk about one more thing before we end. And it's an article that Anil sent me literally about an hour ago. Was it The Guardian? And I think it was The Guardian. They've said that the EFL want to punish Leicester for the 22-23 breach if we're relegated. It's a bit of a nothing story because I think we all kind of assumed that anyway, that would be the case. But Ash, I mean, it makes survival like just the most important thing, doesn't it? Because I've said this phrase time and time again. If we go down, we're going to get our cheeks spread by the EFL, right? We are, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the season that we need to be staying up, else we're down there for a few years, I think.
Yeah.
But we've got a squad good enough to stay up. The EFL and the Premier League are both just salty because little Leicester have tied them in knots legally. And, for big organisations like that, it's a bit embarrassing, isn't it? But we've got to be staying up. We need to stay up. And I do think we'll have transfer embargoes, points deductions, everything. I think they'll hit us heavy if we go down. So
yeah. Josh, are you worried about it, mate?
With Cooper in charge a little bit, yeah. It's kind of similar to last season, though, isn't it? Because last season I thought, we have to go up. I was going to be stuck in the Championship. Now we have to stay up. I was going to go down and get stuck. Yeah, I completely agree. Because obviously, when Leicester went down, we had the squad and whatnot. But yeah, it's do or die, isn't it? This season, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And Neil, mate, I mean, this is why I think the board might act sooner rather than later on Steve Cooper because of the added pressure. And, I've seen some people say, well, give Cooper 15 games. I've seen some say give him 20. And I've seen others, by the way, say give him the whole season even if we're going down. Baffling, in my opinion, that one. But yeah, do you agree that it's just the club are going to be feeling it if we get maybe, I mean, what we're on now, this will be game 5. So even if we're on 10 games and we're looking a bit, it's looking a bit shaky, they're going to start panicking, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, bizarrely, that article might even be good for us because I feel that, if things are bad, there's another international break coming up, and that would be the time to do it because the new manager would have time to do it and would also have some time before you make potential signings in January. So that's why I've kind of said that even if we don't like the manager, if he doesn't prove himself, I wouldn't be that worried because I think we will have another roll of the dice. I think the Rodgers situation was way more unique given that he was on an extremely large contract and he'd won the FA Cup. So it was seen as surely we've got to back him because, he's literally no other manager in the history of the club has done that before. So they wanted to give him this. But I don't think there's that emotion with Cooper. He was obviously a cheap choice at the time. And as we said, if we know we're going to get our cheeks parted if we go down, then you can't go down. It's as simple as that. I mean, the issue is, we could make a change and still go down, and then it's even worse. But I think for that reason, they're more likely to act way faster. And as I say, the next international break, I don't think we'll have played Ipswich, but I think we will have played Southampton and maybe Bournemouth before that time. So
Forest.
You'll still get a much bigger. Yeah, there you go. I mean, well, look, as you say, the Everton game is still massive. If we lose that, they're above us. If we win it, we've already put 5 points between us and Everton 5 games into the season. That's huge. That's why it's so annoying that Cody did that brain fart because we potentially could have been 7 points clear of Everton after 5 games. I mean, you'd already be thinking, well, two more to beat, you know. So let's see how it goes. But yeah, I think that they'll be way more reactive this time around.
Yeah, 100%. Psychedelic Peter, are you on psychedelics right now, Peter? Be honest. In all honesty, who do Leicester get if we ultimately sack Cooper? Who would want to come to a potentially relegated team? Well, we'll have to see. It's a shame because I think Cooper actually mentioned it in his interview, in his press conference the other day, about how it would have maybe changed the transfer window if we'd heard the news earlier. And it, he probably wouldn't have had a job, if
he
we'd
didn't
had the
mention
news
that, did
earlier.
he? Yeah.
No, he didn't. He didn't mention that. So yeah, Anil, mate, what's coming up for Fox's sake over the next few days, pal?
Match preview. I'll go into the tactics of the tactic that Everton will use against us with Sean Dyche, and then I'll be working with you on Match Day Live, which I can't wait for. It was great fun last week.
Yeah, nice one, Ash. Still, I'm guessing you haven't made a YouTube channel in the last 7 days, but where can people find you?
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter. It's at Oceans Ash. Like I say, I will get round to it eventually, but I deal with computers and everything all day. So other than talking football, it's quite nice to get away from that side of it.
Yeah, for sure, mate, for sure. And Josh, Sports, what's going over on Sports YouTube?
Yeah, a vlog from Everton, hopefully a win, and then we'll have a little reaction the day after, trying to dissect what's happened. Could be an interesting one, that, couldn't it?
Yeah, for sure, mate. Absolutely. Before we go, just 2 things to say. First of all, this is sponsored by Football Prizes. You can get 2 hospitality tickets to Leicester West Ham. Tickets are £9.95, 65 tickets up for grabs. You can also get a signed Ricardo Pereira shirt. That's like an instant win as well, so you don't have to wait for the draw for that. If you get it, you'll win it. And finally, I was going to say that, of course, Matchday Live will be back this weekend, like it was last week. Appreciate everyone who joined us live on Saturday for the Crystal Palace one, and it will be back this weekend for the Everton game. So it will be 15 minutes before kickoff, then a watch along. Anil will be on at halftime, of course, with Luke, I'm assuming. And then at post match or full time, you'll be redirected for Fox's sake for instant match analysis. Thank you so much for everyone who's put your comments in. Hit the like button, please. If you haven't already, hit like, hit subscribe. Thanks to the members. Anil's one of them, actually. So thanks to Anil. Appreciated. Anil bought me this pint, basically. I'm joking. But appreciate all the support on the channel for the last 4 weeks. And yeah, we'll see you very soon. Cheers all. See you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.